In today's news, Premier Wheatley backs plans to protect infrastructure from storms. Minister Smith rejects claims schools lack support. East End residents to flush in confidence by year's end. And Premier Wheatley encourages the public to get informed on the BVI's political status. These and more stories when To It For News returns.
Across the BVI, the fastest, most reliable, and affordable fiber internet service is here for you. Look out for fire in these new locations: Slaney, Duff Bottom, Manual Reef, Seacows Bay, Albion, Hannah's, Palestina, Pleasant Valley, and Havers. Fiber is in your area. Call 444-4444 or visit a CCT store to find out more and bring it home. More locations coming soon.
Welcome viewers to the Friday, August 22nd edition of To It For News. I am Jacques Wooding, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. The BVI's water and electrical infrastructure took a beating from Hurricane Erin, just like it did in previous disasters. There is now a push to have the remaining electricity power lines buried underground. Works Minister Honorable Kai Reimer said some of the challenges that the teams at BVI'S and Water and Sewage have faced were out of their control during Hurricane Erin's passing.
Some of the challenges that they faced, they couldn't control some of them. We had some heavy lightning that affected some of the infrastructure. They did quite a lot of repair at the station, and they had some burnt switches as well, certain things that you couldn't avoid. But those guys worked throughout the night, and they were able to, I think all power is restored now. And it comes with a system. We have an age-old system. We are working towards having our infrastructure underground, but it's a work in progress, and we need the funds to get it done, and we are working towards that.
Premier Wheatley said that burying lines is something he wishes to be done.
Well, I could tell you that, I've already spoken to the general manager at BVI Electricity. I just reminded him today that we spoke probably from last year. I told him to make some preparations to bury the cables in the eastern end of the island, which would help Virgin Gorda as well, because they're connected through to the eastern end of the island. So they've put the conduits under the ground already, and we will fund the cables themselves. So we're just waiting for him to give us that estimate, so that we can make the funds available, and we're going to bury those cables. But it's going to be a phased approach. Yeah. Thankfully in the Rotong area we have things on the ground, but we need to extend that to other areas, starting with the eastern end, where we have biggest population center outside of Rotong.
Meanwhile, Junior Minister for Financial Services, Lorna Smith, believes it is an insult to persons to say that education in the British Virgin Islands is underfunded. Minister Smith was speaking in the House of Assembly under other business. The minister also said it is an insult to the people in the profession.
There is the allegation that education is severely, not underfunded, unfunded. Unfunded. Mr. Speaker, I believe that our education sector is the third largest funded sector. I want to applaud the private sector for their generosity in contributing to this sector. I don't have the time to go into the names of the many who do so, large and small, as well as those who contribute through scholarships and so on. This is what corporate social responsibility means, and I encourage more companies to support our community. To talk about severely unfunded education is nothing but an insult to our teachers, our principals, and those who work so hard to educate our children.
For decades, the issue of fixing sewage has been talked about, with no solid solution in sight. However, by the end of the year, residents on the eastern end of Tortola should be able to flush in confidence. Word on this from Works Minister Honorable Kai Reimer when he appeared on Talking Points on Monday. Minister Reimer said work is underway at the Long Swamp pump station. He is also encouraging people in that area to collect application forms for connection to the sewage system.
So the Long Swamp, that area we are working on a pump station, a lift station.
Right.
This is the area that would collect sewage from Longlook, Paramtown, Greenland. We have Greenland and Longlook connected. So what we're doing is just connecting those pipes that would bring the sewage to the lift station, and then it will be pumping it all the way down to Paraquita Bay. So what we did is we added some culverts the past couple of days. Past week.
Yeah.
That were necessary for the station, and I would say within a month that station would be able to start collecting sewage, because we are commissioning the sewage plant at Paraquita Bay at the same time. It's right now they're doing water testing. It's about completed. So hopefully by the end of the year, once residents sign up or connect to the sewage system, residents will be able to flush in confidence. So hence we would have to go through these various challenges in terms of road closures and disruptions. Yeah. So what I can ask for residents in the area is to call the Water and Sewage Department and sign up. The government would assist in making sure that you're connected to the system, whereas there'll be a monthly service fee, a monthly fee for the utilization of the system.
Up next, more information and education needed on independence, says Premier Wheatley, and more stories after a word from our sponsors.
My name is Henry Bosch. I work for PPG. I'm here to explain to you the use of the Deltron NXT paint line and Enviro-based high performance, one being solvent-borne and the next being waterborne. The difference is that one is totally manufactured with rosins and thinners and all the good stuff that solvents bring, versus our new technology, which is waterborne, which is 100% latex. What we're gonna do is that we reduce the solvent-borne with a DT885, which is a mid-temp reducer, and the waterborne uses T494, which is a waterborne reducer. We will today be using either DCU 2042, which is a speed clear, or we will be using DCU 2021, which is a classic. We have here our equipment. We have 8-ounce measuring cups, and we also have our 32-ounce mixing cup. We will also have with us our Venturi. This is a blower for us to dry the waterborne paint, which speeds up the process. The good thing about waterborne paint is that as soon as it evaporates, you're good to go. So now Gilligan will dilute the waterborne paint with the waterborne reducer. We made 8 ounces, that would be 1.6 ounce. It always has to be properly mixed until we get an even mixture within the paint mixing cup. So when we spray, we want to see uneven coats of color. So right now we're filling our paint gun with 8 ounces of diluted paint. We're gonna see how far 8 ounces will take us. Waterborne paint seems to look blotchy on your first coat. Don't pay no mind to that. Don't try to achieve full coverage on your first spray. Excellent. Let it dry. So the process in waterborne is 2 even coats, and then we have what we call a dust coat. Well, now we're gonna have Mr. Brown apply the first coat of clear on his waterborne panel. We'll let it flash off, and then he'll come back and coat it with his second coat to finish it off. As you had seen in the previous shots, we had a little blotchiness, and you'll see some patches. That's all due on purpose to sandpaper to prove that with EnviroBase high performance, all technicians, the body work has to end at 800 grit or plus. Well, EnviroBase is like we're trying to shift everyone into that slowly but surely. The entire west coast of the United States and all of Canada has already been on waterborne for the past 10 years. And now soon it'll be the eastern seaboard, which covers the Caribbean. So when that happens, we'll all be affected. So it's best to start now, start trying and applying waterborne, because eventually everyone will be on it. And referring to technicians, it's less harmful because it doesn't have all the toxic chemicals that solvent-borne paints do.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. The political status of the British Virgin Islands is once again in focus as one leader calls on the public to better understand the territory's colonial position and its right to self-determination under international law. More in this report. The conversation about the British Virgin Islands' political future has again resurfaced, calling for attention to the territory's colonial status. Premier Dr. Natalio Wheatley has asserted the people's right to self-determination under international law. Speaking as a guest on the radio program Honestly Speaking with host Claude Skelton-Klein, Dr. Wheatley highlighted a key resolution passed by the United Nations which states that there should be no more colonies in the world. He emphasized that despite its modern infrastructure and stable governance, the BVI remains a colony.
As benign as what we have going on here is, it is colonialism. We are a colony. In 1960, the United Nations said no more colonies. I'm trying to explain it as simply as I can.
Yes.
The United Kingdom was a part of that resolution. We should have no more colonies in the world. Now, since 1960 to now, we've had most countries in the world decolonize.
Yes.
There's 17 of us remaining who is still in this colonial state. Now, maybe a year or two after that resolution was passed in 1960, right? The United Nations again passed a resolution to form what's called a special committee on decolonization. They call it the C24. That committee was formed to ensure that that resolution that was passed in 1960 would be fulfilled. That mandate would be fulfilled.
Dr. Wheatley explains that officials are mandated to report regularly on the progress of territories, such as the BVI, in fulfilling the principles of self-determination. These reports are meant to track whether these territories are moving towards full autonomy or independence, in line with the UN's decolonization agenda. He added that there are options for the first step, including decolonization. Another option is integration with an existing state or free association.
Now, persons may not understand the terms, but we are colony. So to not be a common colony, we have to decolonize.
Yes.
Okay? And when you decolonize, that's what we call you're self-determined. You are self-determined people. Self-determination is like the same way of saying freedom. Mm-hmm. You know, you have slavery, you have emancipation. You have colonialism, which is very similar to slavery. Mm-hmm. It's like political slavery. And then you have self-determination, which is like political freedom. So our goal is to be self-determined. And we have options. We have options. If you want to be self-determined, you don't have to be independent. You can become integrated into the United Kingdom if you would like to, or integrated into any other nation. You can become integrated into the United States. I mean, of course, these things take the agreement of two different groups.
Yes.
Two different groups of people. We can become integrated into the United Kingdom. We can form a free association. which would be an agreement between two nations on mutually agreed terms, but one will not dominate the other.
According to the Premier, the UK retains several reserved powers which allow it to override local decision-making at any time. He stressed that the current arrangement with the United Kingdom is not one of equals.
What we have right now is the United Kingdom has reserved powers, and at a whim, at signing a piece of paper, they can abolish our legislative assembly. Yes. Which is, we have an order in council over our heads right now, so it shouldn't be strange for persons to understand that this is not a relationship of equals. Right. It is a relationship where one group has power over other group, whether they exercise that power or not. Yes. But they have the power.
Addressing those who argue that the BVI is not ready for independence, Dr. Wheatley countered that the territory already manages its core functions of government, including education, infrastructure, and public finance. He encouraged people to inform themselves. Premier Wheatley is of the strong view that the public needs to be properly educated on the subject. He said further that the same resolution says there is no precautions for them to be politically free.
It's not about you have to fix your roads first, you have to fix the water first. No, there are no preconditions.
On the matter of your human right,
this is a human right.
There are no preconditions.
This is
That's a moral, ethical.
This is a human right. This is a human right. And so that's the first thing, right? No preconditions. It is a human right. And it's a human right that everyone should be aware that they have.
Yes.
The next thing, the matter of our own governance and how well we govern ourselves, that is a separate matter altogether as to whether we should be politically free.
Yes.
Because a lot of the things they speak about, the United Kingdom doesn't do anything about those things anyway. They don't have any, they don't give us any money to deal with those things.
Right.
Nothing. You know, it's one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Recently I was in a conversation, somebody said, well, you know, it might affect our economy. And this is why I said we need education.
Yes.
Our history just didn't start in the 1980s when we got financial services, or the 1960s when we got tourism. Our history started way before that. We've been in the Virgin Islands probably from the 1700s sometime, right?
Yeah.
Our ancestors. And we were colonies all then. And our economy was non-existent. You know, after the slave economy collapsed here, our people were left here to try to survive on their own.
Correct.
They didn't receive any assistance in developing an economy from the United Kingdom.
Dr. Wheatley made it clear that he cannot arbitrarily take the BVI to independence. A referendum is needed.
It has to be the wish of the majority that we change our political status. Now, we had a visiting mission from the C-24, and they're doing their job as well and coming to the Virgin Islands and having visiting missions to non-self-governing territories. They said in their assessment, you know what, you are ready. Mm-hmm. You're ready to change political status, but what you need is an education campaign. Mm-hmm. You know, so persons who are so anxious, or when they look at all the fundamentals, and I'll say this to you, Claude, a person say that the Virgin Islands is not ready to change political status. There's not one country in the Caribbean who's more ready than the Virgin Islands is in 2025 when they got their independence, whether it was in the 60s, 70s. Mm-hmm. The Virgin Islands is more prepared than any of them
at the time that they chose. At the
time when they chose it.
Yes.
And for a number of different reasons that we don't have to get into now. But I make that statement without fear of contradiction, right? So the C24 independent body has said, yes, you have what it takes. Now what you need is an education campaign, and we also need to set a date, and a couple other things they said that we need to do. At the next constitution, we need to seek full internal self-government.
Up next, Burke calls for a holistic approach to crime prevention, and PANAMERICAN Senior Squash Championships set off in Brazil. When 284 News returns.
Life is unpredictable, and when a storm is coming, having a plan can make all the difference.
We need a plan in case of a hurricane. Everyone, let's work together on this.
This is where we go in case if we need to evacuate. This is safe away from flood zones.
I will use this room as our secure space if we have to stay home.
Don't forget to save our local contacts and also our off-island contacts.
Right, and we need to have a plan for our pets too. They can't go to shelters, so we need a safe place for them.
In case we get separated, we should have a meeting spot. How about the community center?
That's good, and we can leave a note there too.
I feel safe knowing we have a plan.
With a plan, you're not just preparing for the worst, you're taking control of the situation. A message from the Department of Disaster Management and 284 Media.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Youth Ambassador Vanessa Burke is urging a shift in how society views crime prevention strategies, arguing that true change must begin with empowering young people through self-awareness, emotional education, and strong community support. More in this report. Caymanian Youth Ambassador Vanessa Burke says the fight against crime must begin with addressing both internal and external factors that influence how young people navigate society. Speaking during a recent CARICOM crime prevention webinar, Burke stressed that empowering youth through skills such as self-awareness and emotional intelligence is crucial. She argued that by helping young people better understand and manage their emotions, communities can create pathways for them to take part in meaningful change.
From each one of these levels, the personal, internal levels, we need to empower our young people to feel like they can develop their own self-efficacy. They are in charge of their decisions. They can make their own goals. They can problem solve. They feel empowered to go out and change their circumstances. How do we do that? We have to teach them about their emotions. People only think about the basic ones. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm tired. Like, that's not even the facet. There's a whole wheel of thousands of different things. I'm excited. I'm lethargic. What do you feel? Like, actually be able to communicate how you feel and what those needs are for yourself. And then looking at mentorship, everyone in this panel spoke about mentorship, whether it was the ones they got or the opportunities they have. And mentorship and role models is important because we have to believe that it's possible.
Burke also underscored the role of mentorship and community support, particularly for parents within Generation Z and Gen Z who are parents themselves, who she believes often need guidance in balancing responsibilities while modeling positive behavior. She called on parents to reflect on whether they are setting the right example for the younger generation.
If we don't have the abilities to make mistakes and reflect from them, we can never be empowered to continue to make critical decisions. And that in itself creates things like crime, looping ourselves into processes over and over. And some of us are victims that can't even get out of our processes. So that's another thing. And then the environments, I won't go into them so much. Schools, I already talked about the work environment, but looking at how we can develop. Parents don't always know how to parent. And that's something in the Cayman Islands. We talked about all the different things we have here, like in the resources we've had. Jamaica has multiple examples, but in Cayman, we have like parenting classes for not just young mothers, but anybody, because not everyone knows how to cope, especially with these 21st century students. We all know if you're Gen Z or you met Gen Alpha, we are not very new. When I say not very new, we're not new. Like, our parents were also a challenge. So we will be a challenge, and everyone just has to continue learning how to parent the new generation. And so when we look at this, everyone plays a part.
Describing crime as a complicated issue, Burke said it must be tackled from a multifaceted approach, combining personal development, family support, mentorship, and community partnerships. She maintains that this collective effort could lay the foundation for sustainable change.
Ask a reflective question of all of us to look at ourselves, especially from a community and positive norm expectations, and ask ourselves, are the actions we're taking reflecting good role models? Are we being good enforcers? Are we motivating others who may be in difficult circumstances to take up their own wheel, navigate their own course, and to be able to break their own cycles? And so all that just to say, crime is very complicated. This is simpler said than done. But I think if we look at things from an individual level and a external level, and look at it from a multifaceted approach, and also look at the different institutions that impact our young people, I think we can make more progress and change. And instead of not just breaking the cycle, but we could almost rewind it, try to create a more positive environment where people can associate young people with positivity, with being able to be the change makers of not just crime, but anything that we put our minds to, any challenge that we're given.
Meanwhile, the Pan-American Senior Squash Championships opened on Thursday in Rio de Janeiro, with Team BVI'S top players taking on tough first-round opponents in the individual draw. More in this report. The Pan-American Senior Squash Championships got underway this week in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, with some of the territory's best players batting for top honors in one of the sport's most competitive continental events. The week-long tournament is divided into 3 main segments: the individual competition, followed by the team event, and closing with doubles. In the opening round of the individual draw, Team BVI faced some tough early tests. Danny Henderson from the BVI faced off with Seth Thong from Trinidad and Tobago. Joe Chapman from the BVI faced off with Matthias Lacroix from Chile. Ollie Henderson from the BVI faced off Roberto Pizzota from Argentina, and Luca Reach from the BVI faced off with Noah Brown from Bermuda. The championships drew athletes from North, Central, and South America, as well as the Caribbean. Over the past 2 decades, the region has emerged as a powerhouse in world squash, producing top-ranked players, including Diego Elias, former world #1 and ranked #2 at this time, Miguel Rodriguez, who at his top ranking was world ranked at #4, and Leonel Cardenas, world ranked at #13. Several others currently sit within the world's top 80, reflecting the growing depth and competitiveness of Pan Am squash. The BVI team, which has been in preparation for months, is now looking to make its mark at this prestigious tournament. And that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com, like us on Facebook at 284media, and 284BVI on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. I'm Jacko Wooding, and I'll see you again soon, so have yourself a safe and enjoyable evening. Goodbye.